I started with Premier Pediatrics about 10 years ago. My daughter was a couple of months old, so I started with Dr. Roberson and really enjoy the loyalty that they have to me, as well as taking care of my kids. Dr. Roberson or her staff makes sure that I get in on the same day. They do offer same-day appointments. I know that, with other doctors' offices, they may be busy, as they are here, but she never seems like she's running out the door trying to see the next patient.
Few issues are more important than the health of our children. That's why we're visiting with Dr. Jill Roberson at Premier Pediatrics, 135 Turner Street in Yadkin Park in Southern Pines. Dr. Roberson, thanks for having us over today.
Thank you for coming.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, your history, and your practice here in the Moore County area.
Okay, I grew up in New Orleans and went to LSU to college, and once I graduated from LSU, I stayed in New Orleans for my medical training. I went to Tulane University School of Medicine, and when I graduated from there, I got my first choice of residency, and that was University of Texas Southwestern Medical School, Children's Medical Center of Dallas, which is also known as Parkland Hospital. And I was very blessed to be able to train with some of the top names in pediatrics, in infectious disease, pulmonary medicine, intensive care, neonatology, and behavioral sciences in pediatrics. I was in the National Health Service Corps, and that's how I came to North Carolina. Started out in Anson County and kind of moved up the road every few years and ended up in Moore County 10 years ago.
Okay. Well, when it comes to the health of our youngsters, we have infants, we have, I guess, preteen, kids going through adolescence. We have a lot of different stages of life when we're developing our, getting to be adults, and you probably have different issues you have to deal with. What are some of the common questions that you get?
Fever. Everybody's worried about fever. And I just wanted to let everybody know that fever is not anything to be afraid of. I'm more afraid of Tylenol overdosage than I am about kids having fever. So if you have a question about fever, you should ask your caretaker, and don't be so afraid of fever.
Okay. Ask your caretaker. So you must have to be pretty accessible being a pediatrician. Parents, they want the health of their children responded to immediately, especially when something's wrong.
We answer questions 24 hours a day. I have the help of a nurse line. And I also am available 24 hours a day for emergency questions.
And I guess you have to make visits to the hospital at times?
Right. I have hospital privileges at First Health Moore Regional, and I make rounds before I come to clinic in the morning, and I make rounds after clinic in the evenings.
My sister, co-workers, I have a lot of people who visit with Dr. Roberson with their children, and the one thing I hear over and over again is that she has a wonderful bedside manner.
Thank you.
Spends time with my child, explains to the parent what's going on, and listens to the parent and the children.
I picked Premier Pediatrics about 4.5 years ago for my baby twins. Dr. Roberson was fantastic. She took on my other 2 children who are older, and they've been coming ever since. The best part I love about Dr. Roberson is she really listens to the parents and takes into consideration their feelings and their concerns about different aspects.
I came to Premier Pediatrics when Jada was born at 7.5 months. She came early, so Jada is a special needs child. She has a lot of medical issues. Dr. Roberson and her staff here have been nothing but absolutely wonderful. They have compassion. Anytime there's medical crisis going on with Jada, they're right there, day, night, it doesn't matter. She is the kind of doctor that when you do have a child like Jada, you do want the best. And I've always teased Dr. Roberson about being a old school doctor, because not just modern medicine, but techniques or medicines that back when our grandmother or great-grandmother, when they didn't have doctors available, that they use homeschool remedies, and that's what Dr. Roberson does. She's just a caring, loving person, and not just her, but her whole staff. So when they treat my baby and do everything that they can for her, then of course in turn, we just love them dearly.
Thank you very much. That means very much to me. That's what I really strive for, is to have a good bedside manner. And I love talking to the kids, and my job's so fun because I get to hang out with kids all day.
It's important to love what you do. When it comes to children's health, we have accidents that happen. Boys fall out of trees, you know, they get things, broken bones and arms and things. We have colds and flus, and we also have behavioral issues and allergies. A lot of things aren't obvious to parents.
Right. And sometimes, though, parents will give us clues, even though the diagnosis isn't obvious to them. They'll tell me what the clues are so I can make the diagnosis. And I always try to be in tune with the parents and the child to listen intently to come up with a correct diagnosis.
My name is Andres Ramgulam, more commonly known as Dr. Ram, and I am a board-certified pediatrician graduated from Brooklyn Hospital, and I am also board-certified in pediatric infectious disease, which I did at Tulane in New Orleans, Louisiana. I moved here from Mississippi back in June of last year. I was in Mississippi as a general pediatrician for about 8 years, seeing lots of pediatric cases and working in the emergency room as well as the pediatric floors there. I have settled here in Southern Pines with my wife, Anu, and our 2 sons, a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old. So I am pretty well acquainted with the problems our parents face with young kids, being up all night with a child with fever or a child coughing, and can really be compassionate and address your issues in a personal manner, because I go through the same things you all are going through with your kids. Being board certified in pediatric infectious disease as well as pediatrics gives me an advantage in that a lot of the cases we see in a general pediatric office are related to infectious disease. The immunizations are a lot to do with immunity and infectious disease prevention. And you know, we see strep, we see gastroenteritis, the different viral infections. So it does give me a broader background in treating and educating the patients on all these infections, in addition to seeing the general pediatric cases for well child checks as well as ADHD and asthma.
Whether you're expecting children or you already have them and you want the best health care you can get, come visit with Dr. Jill Roberson at Premier Pediatrics right here in Yadkin Park. Thank you for spending time with us today.
Thank you, Rich.